Hiya Sam, great to see you again yesterday. Just to recap on the session that we did, overall in regards to the length of your swing, which was largely what we worked on before we went out on the course the other week, that's improving dramatically. You can see that at the top of the backswing, shaft and the club head are in a much better position. The length of the arm swing, and more importantly the length that the golf club swings, is much more in keeping with the overall movement of your swing, much more in keeping with the arm swing and the shoulder turn. Good solid position at the top there. As you're coming into impact, you can see now that that right side's expanding much better. As a result, you don't appear to be backing up quite as much. However, we did talk on the golf course about the left knee. The left knee tends to clear a little bit too quickly, straightening as it's going away, so the hips are clearing quickly, and as we said in the 9-holer, not enough lateral movement with the hips and the lower body on the way through to keep the club coming from the inside. The minute the hips stop moving forward, the club starts to work left. Now then, what we did say that we wanted to keep a little bit more centered, and we can see here we've got the balance pad under your left foot. You're then trying to create a level stance, and the idea here is that if we don't move off it as much, there's less of a need to clear the hips. You're needing to clear the hips to get the club back on plane and back on line. You can see as you do this movement here, much more centered on the way back, relating that more to your center of your shoulders than anything else. Center of the shoulders, don't move off quite as much. And if you want a quick look at how this pays dividends, if we take a little look here down on the bottom left, Tiger hitting an iron compared to Tiger hitting a drive. And as you know, over the years Tiger's been a fantastic iron player. However, in recent times struggled quite dramatically off the tee for a player of his undoubted ability. So if we take a little look at what happens with his iron play, you can see the red line to denote his centre, and I've also put a red line on his left hip and running up from his left ankle. We can see with an iron, tends to stay quite centered going back, it doesn't move off it a great deal. With a driver, his tendency is to just make a more of a move off it. You can see that straight away as he starts back, his center is moving off the ball more, so there's more of a move into the right side with his driver than there is with his irons. Over here on the bottom left, because he's not moved off it quite as much, he's got a much better control of his path. So now he can drive the lower body forward. And if you watch how the left knee first gets over the top of the left ankle, then moves out in front of the left ankle, allowing lateral movement whilst the hips are clearing. And you can see just before impact, very much on top of the golf ball, spine quite upright, really on playing position where there's no need to flash at that club with his hands or flash at that ball with his hands. And you can see the lower body continuously moving forward as his hips are clearing. What we see here on the right with driver is he's made a bigger move off that centre point. So now he's going to get stuck on the inside. His left knee starts to get onto his left ankle, but now can't continue moving forward. If he did, he'd lose this way out to the right. So what does he do? Instead of moving the hips laterally in the lower body now stops moving towards his target. The left leg starts to brace, and you can see there now, look at the difference in that spine tilt back compared to what we're seeing with iron. So he's stuck way underneath this one here now, and he's got to flash at it with the hands or snap the left leg. You can see there a tremendous amount of forearm rotation as his left leg braces. Left leg jumping. If you pay attention to his left foot, I'm just going to move the lines out of the way for you. This is the sort of thing you're experiencing through impact. Left foot twisting out of the way, nothing to do with his flexibility. Tiger's probably more flexible than anybody we've seen play the game, but his big problem is he's made too much of a move off it going back, not centered enough, therefore has to stop the lower body moving forward, and that left leg spinning out the way, that left foot rotating too much, is because of all the force exerted clearing the left hip. If you compare that to the quieter footwork we see here on the left with an iron shot, yes, the club head speed's lower, but to be honest with you, it's based purely on the fact that he's putting his body in better positions. The left leg is having more weight put on it through impact, because he hasn't got stuck behind it. Consequently, it's going to look quieter in the leg actions. The legs are always going to respond to what you're doing. So what we're looking for is a much more centred top of the backswing position, like we see here on the top right. And then from there, we're trying to get this left knee to work, first of all, over the left ankle. So when the left arm or the hands are approaching sort of chest height, we want the left knee over the left ankle. As we then come down to about waist level, we've got the left knee a couple of inches outside the left ankle. And then as we continue through impact, the hips can clear, allowing the weight to move fully into the left hand side in the finish. So we need to firm up that leg action, but it's only going to happen if we can create a much more centred backswing like we're seeing here on the top right. I'm just going to bring that up on the full screen for you now and just let you watch it through a few times. So this is the drill that I want you to work on between now and when we get together next. We're going to try and stay much more centred going back. Place something under the left foot, recreate a level stance. So what this is going to do is this stance, this setup with a pad under your left foot, any movement off it is going to be exaggerated, so you're going to have to work really hard here not to move off the golf ball. You can see as you start to take the club back, it's a much more centred backswing that we're going to make here compared to what we were making when you compare this to the footage that we took out on the golf course a few weeks ago. From that position at the top, we're now able to make the sort of downswing that we would like to make. There's no need to clear the left hip violently because the centre hasn't moved back. If the centre doesn't move back, we're not going to come too much from the inside. We're going to get a much more consistent shot pattern, and importantly, we're going to get a much more powerful shot pattern. Good luck with it, and I'll speak to you again soon.